to attain that. I think we're doing better than that. Now, I think we have to see, but I think we're doing better than that because, as John said, that would be, a lot of lives taking place over a relatively short period of time. But think of what would have happened if we didn't do anything. I mean, I've had many friends, business people with great, actually, common sense. They said, why don't we write it out? A lot of people have said, a lot of people have thought about it. Write it out. Don't do anything. Just write it out and think of it as the flu. But it's not the flu. It's vicious. When you send a friend to the hospital and you call up to find out how is he doing, it happened to me, where he goes to the hospital, he says goodbye, he's sort of a tough guy, a little older, a little heavier than he'd like to be, frankly. And you call up the next day, how's he doing? And he's in a coma? This is not the flu. So we would have seen things had we done nothing. But for a long while, a lot of people were asking that question, I think, right? I was asking it also. I mean, a lot of people were saying, well, let's just write it out. This is not to be written out, because then you would have been looking at potentially 2.2 million people or more. 2.2 million people in a relatively short period of time. If you remember, they were looking at that concept. It's a concept, I guess, it's a concept. If you don't mind death, a lot of death. But they were looking at that in the UK, remember? They were very much looking at it. And all of a sudden they went hard the other way because they started seeing things that weren't good. So they were, they put themselves in a little bit of a problem. Now, Boris tested positive, and I hope he's going to be fine. But in the UK, they were looking at that. And they have a name for it, but we won't even go by the name. But it would have been very catastrophic, I think, if that would have happened. But that was something that everybody was talking about, Steve. Like, just don't do anything. Don't do anything. Forget about everything. Just write it out. They use the expression, write it out. We would have had, at a minimum, 1.5, 1.6, but you would have had perhaps more than 2.2 million people dying in a very